way that's meaningful to software people.
Hello, I'm Bill Gates.
I would recommend TypeScript. Yeah, it writes a lot of code for me, and usually it's slightly wrong.
I'm reminded, incidentally, of Rust here.
Rust.
Congressman, iPhone is made by a different company, and so,
you will not learn Rust while skydiving.
Well, I'm sorry, guys. I don't know what's going on.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you today about large neural networks. It's really an honor to be here.
Rust.
Data Topics.
Welcome to the Data.
Welcome to the Datatopics podcast.
Hello, welcome to Datatopics Unplugged, your casual corner of the web where we discuss what's new in data every week, from great expectations to hacks. Anything goes. Today is 4th of April of 2024. Today is a Thursday. Usually we live stream on Fridays, but for personal reasons, we shifted the live stream a bit. We're also live on YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitch, X. That's it. Feel free to leave your comment or question there. I'm joined. I'm joined by Paolo once again.
Yes.
And Alex behind the camera there.
Hello.
Today we're not joined by Bart. Unfortunately, Bart had other commitments, and he said the show must go on. Yeah, actually, I heard rumors that he's in Portugal, bathing in Portugal. So maybe next time he'll be back, he'll be like super tan.
Already.
Or maybe I heard that he's also in the Netherlands, back, aka the motherland for Bart, not for me.
Yeah.
So, but maybe when he comes back, we can see what he's been up to.
Maybe it can be a topic.
Maybe it can be a topic.
It's interesting to discuss. People want to know.
Yeah, we can gang up on him and just be like, "What we're doing," you know? Yeah. Paolo, this is the topics. You want me to explain the concept for you?
No, for me it's fine, but maybe for the person who joined 2 minutes ago.
No, but Paolo, you've been on the pod a couple of times.
Yep.
And you still kept coming back.
I mean,
I guess you're
you
better
asked
judgment.
and,
The people asked. You're just too. Yeah. Any live updates since last time you've been here?
live update. Oof, we had the ski trip, which was really, really nice.
Nice.
And, yeah, the screen keeps.
Yeah, but it's okay. It's okay. It's just for us.
Right.
People on the other side can.
No, but we had the ski trip. It was really nice. Really, I thought it was a bit maybe too short this time, but I don't know.
Isn't it always too short?
Yeah, it is.
Are you a skier? Do you ski a lot?
Yeah, but this time I hurt my ankle, and so I skied like the first day on Saturday, and I did some jumps, and I was like,
Too many.
Yeah, it's not a good
Some
idea
trips.
actually. So I just stayed at the hotel the rest of
I
the
see.
journey.
I see. All right. We're glad you're still one piece, with us today. What do we have here? Maybe for a reminder for people that this is the first time them seeing you, do you want to quickly introduce yourself?
Yeah. Hi, everyone. I'm Paolo, team lead data quality, data management at Dataroots. So basically what I do is I lead any initiatives around data quality, data management. You'll soon see a reel of me explaining a bit what I do in more details. Stay tuned.
Yeah.
Alex, any comments maybe on that?
It will be available on YouTube and LinkedIn.
I think you need to. I think.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Press it again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I can hear it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be available on YouTube and LinkedIn and Instagram.
TikTok maybe?
Maybe. We'll see about that.
You're getting too greedy, huh?
Anything goes. Huh?
You think so? That is true. Anything does go. I'm talking about data quality. There's this thing called Great Expectation or something.
Yeah. I only heard about it last week. No, but yeah, indeed. Great Expectation, which was, and it still is a big player in data quality tool, released GX Cloud, I think 2 months ago.
So yeah, GX is Great Expectations, right? It's just shorthand for that.
Yeah, they rebranded themselves from GE to GX. And they released finally.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Huh? They used to be GE.
Yeah, exactly.
And they rebranded to GX. What a change!
What a change!
Wow.
I prefer it to GX, but
you made that change. You made it
I
happen.
asked. I did a pull request, and it got accepted.
Pull request. We're gonna talk about that later. So, man.
Yep. But yeah, so they finally released their cloud version. They were hinting towards this for a few years, I want to say, because last time I spoke with their representative, it was, I think, in 2022, 2021, maybe. And they showed us something very different from what we actually can see now and in the cloud version. So yeah, just wanted to bring this on data topic.
Nice. So maybe Great Expectations is a data quality framework, right?
Yeah, it's a data quality tool. So what it does, it helps you find data quality in your data set. So it doesn't correct them for you. It doesn't apply changes based on certain rules. So it's totally, let's say, corrective. So it doesn't take any corrective action. It helps you find the issue and then you act on it based on what it finds for you. It's quite complete, and that's maybe one of the bigger pain point I have with Great Expectation. It's that it's too much complete. So
How is this a pain point?
I mean, when you
It's too good.
no, but I mean, sometimes you want something that works, and data quality typically it's not something that. But it's something I noticed. It's not something you want to spend too much time on it. So the easier, the better. And it's the same with anything. You don't want to have like 10,000 of config files to set up like one data quality check. You want to have like, I won't mention it, otherwise, because but like other data quality tool, you have like one file to define the connection, one file to define the data quality check you want to apply on the connection you just made, and that's it.
Yeah. So basically, you want a tool that stays out of your way.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Like
yeah.
if you know too much about it, it's probably not a good thing because you don't want it to be in your way. You just want it to be doing its work in the background. Yeah, it's pretty cool. And when you say it doesn't take corrective action, it's like, maybe can you give a few examples on what kind of checks you can do?
Yeah.
What do you mean by data quality?
Yeah, exactly. So it basically data quality check. It checks your data against a set of rules that you defined. Typically, let's take the full pipeline. Business come to you, says, okay, well, I have an issue with my data set. I'm expecting non-null values in this column. One data quality check you could then pass is, okay, I accept no null values in this data set.
So basically, if there are null values, there's a problem.
There is a problem, and then you need to set up your process pipeline to say, okay, I need to do this. This person needs to be notified. This dashboard needs to maybe be updated or put on hold. Something like this.
And I think for another example, maybe is if you have a bank and you have users, all the users need to be above 18 years old. So you can say all the values here on the age should be above this.
Exactly.
Right? And there are a lot of data quality. I think we had a lot of, like the first episode you're in, we did talk a lot about data quality, different dimensions, the different checks.
Exactly.
And all
we went a bit more into theory about data quality because we actually, and that's maybe I can mention this as well. The first time I came to the podcast, I presented the article I wrote about data quality tool, open source data quality tool. There's a new one coming probably next week or the week after, where Nemish and Arthur helped me evaluate new tools. And in this article, we focused on DBT tools because DBT has, it's just like a lot of people start using DBT and it has a lot of advantages. And I think someone else can speak DBT up in place of me, but what it has, it also has some tests that you can run, but it's very limited. But now there are plugins like Redata and Inventory. That's the two of the tools that we evaluated in the article that can extend the possibility of DBT. So theoretically, you can have and it's really nice actually. So yeah, and they also have a cloud version, by the way. But,
so when you say cloud version, right, for the people that are not super in this space, like what do you mean by a cloud version? Why would you use it? What's the benefit?
Well, and that's something. Let's. What? Okay. Well, and I will come back to this later. But the very the biggest advantages that I would see is storing your metric on cloud. So you just and then whatever SaaS version, so software as a service version of data quality tool can help you, and they will bring a lot of new features that are not available on the open source, of course. But basically, you could run your data quality check in a SaaS version, showing the result and assigning ownership, governance, processes for notification, stuff like that. And just not dealing with, for example, in the example of Great Expectation, not dealing with the 1,000 files of config, for example.
I see. So it's like there's also like governance, the sense of if there is an issue, the tool provides a place for people to say, okay, this person is going to solve this issue. These are the corrective measures, and also storing, right? So if you're running this machine, you need to put it in a place that everyone can see what it is.
Yeah,
correct. And there's also nice UI, I think, from a lot of these tools.
And that's very important. For certain tools in the data engineering space, it's not that important. Let's take ModderDuck, for example. The UI is very bare bones, but it works.
Which one?
ModderDuck.
Yeah.
It's very bare bones, but it works. But for data quality, it's very linked. It's very much linked with business. And business, typically, they don't like to go through files, JSON files, YAML files. It's like, and I understand them. It's like they're not used to work with that. It's something on top that they have to manage. So having a nice UI explaining, okay, this is the check that you have. These are the results that you have as well. This is very important for them as well. And that they can click and say, okay, if I set up this data quality check, if it fails, notify this person. If they can do that with a nice UI, I mean, it's great.
Yeah, indeed. I think also in one of the projects that I'm helping with, there's also this discussion with the cloud offering, and the other alternative would be the open source one, right? And I think you really hit the nail on the head there, that the decision on whether they should go for the cloud or not really hinders on whether business people are going to be interacting with it, right?
Exactly.
So what are the people that are actually using this, what do they need to know, what they don't need to know, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah. And so Great Expectations, in a way, it's like a bit late to the party.
Exactly. Yeah, you might say that, huh?
Arguably. Did you try Great Expectation on the cloud?
I did some try with GX Cloud and some connection with Snowflake, because right now what they do is they only support Snowflake and I think Postgre connection. So
on the cloud. Okay.
But you can still, I didn't try that, but theoretically you can still run your own GX checks on your own machine server, send the result so that you can see your checkpoints, your any data quality check on the cloud version. But then coming back to the pain point that GX brings is not only with the definition of the config file, it's also like just what I mentioned, checkpoints. They have like this very difficult, it feels difficult. I played with it and it is difficult. They have all these concepts that you need to implement before actually starting and monitoring your data quality.
Yeah. So
you need to define your expectation suite, your connection, then you need to define a checkpoint. It's like,
what is the checkpoint?
Exactly. It's like a run of your expectation suite.
Okay.
I think because it's been a while since I've touched with that, but it doesn't feel like you need to actually have a checkpoint. You could just run your expectation suite, have your result, and then result for today, result for tomorrow.
Yeah, I see. But then don't you, like, on the other hand though, by having to configure these things, you give a lot more control to the user, I guess. But then are you saying that for data quality for this specific domain, you believe that the way to go would be to be a bit more opinionated and give more things off the box?
It always depends, huh? And like Bart would say, it's a difficult one.
Shout out to Bart if you're listening. Yeah. He's gonna leave a comment here on the live stream, Paolo, you're fired.
Oh well.
See you guys.
No, but like giving more control and granularity is sometimes good, but I feel like it's unnecessary here because I've implemented data quality frameworks that I've never used checkpoints because you have all the information you need in the results that Great Expectation gives you. Huh?
Mm-hmm.
So the timestamp and everything like this is, and the expectation suite as well. So it feels a bit unnecessary. But yeah.
I see. Yeah, I do. Yeah. Great Expectations, I think, is one of the most popular ones, no?
I think it is the most popular one in the
Yeah.
open source space, actually.
Because I see a lot of well, they were only open source for a long time, right? But I have seen a lot of other tools that use Great Expectations as data quality, like Hopsworks. I think Hopsworks is a feature store,
Yeah,
but they also embed a bit of data quality, I think, with Great Expectations. I think I've seen some other ones that use Great Expectations as well. So yeah.
But and yeah, to come back to the cloud version, it's nice, but it's first iteration, and when you see what other tools have out there, being paid open source tool that had like now their hosted version, or just like when you think of other data quality tool, like forgot the name, Monte Carlo, for example. It feels a bit very early stage compared to what other data quality tools are putting out there. But I think it's a nice first step.
But then you feel like it's early stages. Why?
Because it's very bare bones. It's like
there's not a lot of functionality.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's nice first step, and I will be looking forward to the next iterations. But I think it should be a bit more streamlined, and in the cloud version, it's really they just put like their building blocks on a web page, and that's it for now. That's why I say it's very early stage.
And do you know what's the priorities of Great Expectations as a company? Do they want to invest heavily on the cloud, or?
I mean, that's what brings money, so I guess yes. But yeah, I don't know.
Maybe. Well, I don't know. I want to change the subject. That's why I'm looking at you.
But yeah, just one last note. Just I know I've been. It feels like I'm trash talking Great Expectation. That I'm actually very grateful for the work they did, and they built a nice product. But I think it's getting a bit clunky.
Yeah. And I also think for a lot of these things, like Great Expectations, I don't know if it was one of the first ones, but like we said, it's probably one of the most popular ones, right? And I think. Like same thing with Panda, same thing with poetry.
Exactly, yeah.
I think when you get a lot of popularity, it's very easy for people to look and
learn
from those mistakes and kind of criticize. So I think everything we say here, I think we need to take everything with a grain of salt.
Of course, yeah, and I do think they did a nice product, and like I said, the next iteration of the cloud version I think would be even better than what they have now.
Cool, looking forward to that. And you mentioned the Great Expectations Cloud. That's how they make money. How are they making? Because again, this project has been going on for a while.
Yeah.
Right. How long has there been a company behind it? And by a company, I mean people getting paid to do this full time.
I want to say Superconductive. So the company behind Great Expectation has been out for 6 years.
6 years.
I'm not exactly sure on the timeline, but I know at some point how they got money was that they were funded. I remember seeing some high number, and everybody getting really excited because finally some open source tool got funding, and I mean,
yeah. But the company was called Superconductive.
Yeah.
And now they rebranded to Great Expectations, or
no, it's always like Superconductive. Yeah. Well, so they basically there is this company and they have this product which is Great Expectation, and the company got funding to build Great Expectation.
I see. But the company was doing other things as well.
No,
the company was for this project.
Yeah.
So if I understand what you're saying, they had an open source project, they created a company, and then people just basically invested in them to build this product out.
Yeah.
But they didn't have a cash inflow cost like a product or something. It was just the open source project. Maybe do you have any comments on that? Like, do you feel like this is a way to do open source? So people got excited when they first heard it, but do you think this is the solution to open source?
That's a difficult one.
Now you know why Bart's always saying
that. I'm a pickle now. Yeah. I think for some tools it does make sense to at some point offer hosted services. Great Expectation, it totally makes sense. I was super surprised that it took them so long, but again, I don't know what's happening behind the scene to actually get a product, because I think a lot of people are interested in having data quality, but not being bothered by scheduling it, adding it to your data architecture, everything like that. And let's maybe take another example, DuckDB, but maybe not DuckDB because that's a different example. Because Modern is not the same people that are building DuckDB. But let's maybe take Prefect. Prefect, they built the open source version and then went on having a cloud version, right? So,
or like this one, right? Like, so Prefect, for the people that do not know what it is basically a way to create workflows.
Yep.
Right. So you have basically say, do this, then do that, then do that. That's what Prefect does. It helps you kind of stitch things up, right?
Yep.
Yeah, you're saying.
Yeah, and so Prefect, I don't want to say anything rubbish, or if someone watching this feel like I'm saying something wrong, just mention it. But I think they started with open source solution, and then went on having this cloud version, which is really nice to use. And for them as well, it makes sense to have, because orchestration, looking at a bit the past project that I've seen and I've worked with, and like people interacting with orchestration tool and like implementing them, and like not actually implementing the DAX, so the, like you said, the steps one after each other, but actually doing the infrastructure.
It
seems like a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
So having something that takes away this idea of infrastructure and just say, okay, this is this tool. We help you set up the agent, so the computer person that will trigger the step one after each other.
Yeah.
And you pay for it. I think this is just really nice.
Yeah, I agree. I think other examples, I mean, you can think of also, I don't know, like Airflow with Astronomer, which even though it's a bit different, because Airflow is a standalone project and Astronomer is a managed version of the software. But I think Airflow, I know a bit more of how it works underneath, but indeed, they're like, it's not just the software. There's also a lot of different like virtual machines. You have to need a database, you need to do this, you need to do that. I think same thing with MLflow, right? So it's an open source tool, but for you to deploy, you actually need different components that work together, which makes it much, I mean, the actual overhead to build these things and to maintain them is much, much higher, right? So, and I think those things, that's when there's an easy win, quote unquote. There's an easy way that you can make money by saying, I'll manage these things for you. You just use the software and I'll manage everything underneath it, right? But then I also see that on the other side, there is, and maybe before we move on a bit to that, there's like projects that are open source and someone decides to do a managed version. And there are people that from the get-go, they say we're going to do a managed, but then we're also going to have the open source part. Terraform is another example, a bit controversial because they changed the license, right? But they also had even though that one, and that's the other type, it's more of a tool, I feel, right? So if you have a CLI tool, if you have like Terraform, it's basically a package that you install that is also open source, but I feel like then there is less the argument of let's build a service around this.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. And a bit the same with Astral and Ruff, I think, and the other services that they provide. I mean, it's very strange that, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so this is Astro is the company, and they basically are a company that provides Python tooling. So they have Ruff, and now they have UV.
Yeah. So, we spoke about this 2 weeks ago, I think, as well.
Yeah.
But it's very strange because this is a tool, right? So it's you have it in your CI/CD. It's not really difficult to implement either. The infrastructure behind it is really simple because it's Rust and then Python.
Yeah. I mean, even like I would say the infrastructure, like the actual machines that run this is just your computer.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you don't need a server. You don't need this. You don't need that, right?
So, and it's very strange to build a company based on this. And I don't know exactly what's their end goal there.
Yeah, I think there was also a comment here. They also put it on, how did they say? I need to find it. There was a blog article that they were discussing how they're starting a company and they got a lot of money actually from funding. So again, this is a bit similar to how Great Expectations started, I guess, that they had an open source project. It was very popular, and then I guess they wanted to figure out a way to make money from it, and then they actually got a lot of investors actually. So basically, people gave them money, and then they can actually pay their bills, like their personal life bills, to work on this full time. But it's still a bit. Personally, I still wonder how far you can take this, because I still feel like at some point, if you have investors that put money in this, I still wonder if people are gonna wait for a return at some point.
I think so.
Right? Yeah. Actually, there was also some controversy about this. Here we've raised 4 million in seed funding. The reason why also this particular story there was a bit of controversy is because Ruff re-implements a lot of stuff that is done, right? And the other things that were done, they were all open source. There was no ambition to start a company, right? So some people felt a bit demotivated to contribute to open source because they said, well, I'm putting this on my free time, and now someone just basically takes all the ideas that I've put together, they rewrite, so they still do some work, right? But they're re-implementing now, and now they made a lot of money from this. So there's also that, is this good for open source altogether? Are you going to be motivated to do this on your spare time when you know there are people that are making money doing this? So it's a bit
and I totally get it. And for this, it's more difficult if, it's
it's a difficult one.
It's a difficult one. No, but like I totally understand that, and I wanted to ask the question, like when should an open source contributor be paid? Because people contributing to Black, for example, which is something that Ruff is based on, I think.
Yeah.
Like, should they get paid at some point because everybody use it?
Yeah. I think if they should or they do, I think are different things, right? I mean, they don't. I think that's kind of the game of open source.
Yeah.
You know, you're not you're putting it out there, and the idea is that you're not guaranteeing, you're not responsible for what the software does.
Yeah, exactly.
But at the same time, I'm not expecting anything in return, right? Like, I just put it there for you. So yeah, again, I hear the arguments for both sides, but I also feel like this has been a bit more popular, this approach of starting a company to see if you can back up the.
Yeah, but sometimes it makes sense, but as well it doesn't really. That's right now.
Yeah.
Let's see what they come up with. I'm sure they have like some business model behind it that they presented to acquire 4 million funding.
What I've seen as well is the consultancy. So I think maybe DuckDB is an example of that. Maybe, I'm not sure. So for the people, DuckDB, maybe you want to give a quick explanation of what DuckDB is for people that never heard of it.
Me?
Well, I can try, but
yeah. So DuckDB is an OLAP processing engine. So basically, it's online analytical. And the specificity of DuckDB is it works on one machine. And why DuckDB arose, is because people saw that maybe you don't need Spark for everything that you do. So Spark is a processing engine that works on multiple machines, to put it simply. And that helps you deal with hundreds of gigabytes of data. But what happens is that most of the data set you will use to do your analytics is sometimes only 1 month of data, and then you have like 10 gigabytes of data, which can be handled on one machine, and then reducing the cost and overhead that Spark brings.
So it's very optimized for single machine.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I think also the idea is that today with the cloud, it's very easy to get a bigger machine, right? So I think DuckDB is an interesting story because there's the open source. They do have a company behind it, I want to say. I do think that the way that they get money is from consulting. I maybe need to be fact checked.
It's a non-profit company.
Non-profit.
And
then from DuckDB, that also rose the mother duck, right? Which you also already mentioned, which is basically a managed version, right?
And it's a different company.
It's a different company. Yeah. So they use the same technology underneath, but the idea with mother duck is that you don't run the stuff on your computer, right? You run somewhere else. can be a big machine, it can be a lot of data. You can join all these things there. Yeah. Another way, so another one. So Fast API, do you know Fast API?
Yeah, you told me Fast API, but I didn't see any mention of like SaaS provider.
Yeah, so Fast API, for the people that do not know what it is a Python framework for creating REST APIs. It uses, like, it's very, very smooth to use. I think that's the winning point, and it's fast, right? So you just put these decorators here, you have some functions, and basically you have a REST API with documentation with a lot of stuff there based on the type-ins. That's kind of the TLDR, very TLDR. I was actually chatting with the creator, Tiangolo.
it's his real name.
No. His name is Sebastian Ramirez. But actually, he's Colombian. I was actually, why? What the hell is Tiangolo? And then he said, no, it's because Sebastian. And then my family says Tian, and then Tiangolo some point.
Right.
Really, really nice guy. So yeah, really, really had a good time talking to him. And then he was saying, like, they have some sponsors. This is another thing we could talk, right? Like, GitHub also offers sponsorships. So basically, if you have an open source project, you want to donate 20 euros a month, $20 a month, you can actually say that and just make it recurring, which helps. But a lot of the times it's not enough for the people to work on this full time. Most of the times this is a hobby thing, right? Yeah. But for Fast API, what he was saying is he actually got funding as well from, I think, I want to remember, I don't want to butcher it, but I think it was like Sequoia. But he basically got a fellowship. So this is not really like investing. He doesn't have a company. I even asked him, I was like, what do you think of all these things? Have you ever thought of starting a company with Fast API? And then he told me, like, yeah, but Fast API is a tool. I don't know. Like, it has to be open source. I don't know. How can I make, it's not a service, right? Which it kind of goes back to the tooling versus service versus application that we mentioned earlier, right? So we did talk about it, but so the fellowship, and I'm gonna see if I can find it, but the Fast API.
But it does make sense to Fast API to have a SaaS offering, though.
Like, you mean like so easy deploy? Sorry, yeah, so easily spin up.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, maybe.
But
Maybe you should start it.
All right.
All right, do it. So this is, I think this is just Google it here. First time I look at it. No fellowships, how Sequoia is supporting open source. Right? Fast API creator Sebastian Ramirez is the first recipient of the Sequoia Open Source Fellowship.
Oh, nice.
So this is really more of a Sequoia is basically funding his work for a year or something, right? Which is, Google also did something similar for the Python developers. Actually, the first I think full-time person Python developer is Lukasz Langa, the guy that created Black. I think, yeah. And basically, Google said, I even heard him on a podcast interview that Google, he said, I'm so grateful because I live in Poland, and Google pay me like a legit, like Silicon Valley type salary to work on this, right? So he was doing everything in the open. So I think every week he was doing release notes or something of the work that he's been doing for Python. So he seems like a very, very nice guy as well, like very like ethical and like, okay, everything should be in the open. I don't want to mess up this opportunity for other people as well. So there are a few cases like this, but I think we're far from this being the sustainable open source alternative.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
But it's interesting that some companies are taking it upon themselves to actually finance some. I guess why Sequoia is financing this is because they're using Fast API, and then they see like values in Fast API being maintained, I guess.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah. And I think there's a big argument there that how many companies benefit from Python, I mean, Python is a very easy example because it's a programming language, right? But like pip, I heard that the pip, the tool that you use to install Python packages, the main maintainer was, this was some years ago, he was like a master student doing something like, it was something like crazy like that. Yeah. So there's a lot of people that put a lot of time, like their personal time, in these things, right? And there's a lot of people that benefit, that makes a lot of money from these things as well. So there's always the argument of companies should be doing more to support back, right? And I think then there's a lot of discussion on, even if we all agree, how would this look like, right?
Yeah. And how do you make sure that you pay fairly the person?
Yeah,
because like the guy maintaining Python, the creator of Black, lives in Poland, then receives like a Silicon Valley type of salary, But like if like that's the opposite, if you live in the Silicon Valley and then you maintain an open source package and like some company in Belgium pays you, salary would be very different.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah. It definitely would. Definitely would. Let me just to this is sharing other. I think the official name is the Python Developer in Residence. So this is Lucas Nanga. I think if I go here, this is from an interview from a Talk Python podcast. Really cool. See. So yeah, I think Google basically sponsored the PSF, the Python Software Foundation, for this.
Okay.
And indeed, right? Like I think, yeah, even if you say yes, we agree we should support, how much, how should it look like? There's a lot of other questions here. But I think most people would agree that the way the open source is done today, it's not optimal at all. It's a bit crazy that things are still working the way they're working to this day. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, because a lot of the tool you use are just open source stuff, and it's allez,
a lot.
You just wish that there is no malicious things on it, right?
I see what you're going there. You do wish that. And why are we mentioning this? Now, this is a very timely piece of news. If you are in the tech world, not even the data world, in the tech world, you may have bumped into it. But if you're not, maybe I'll test with Alex here. Maybe you're not aware of this. But so what happened was there was a backdoor. Basically, there was some, how do you say, malware, I guess, like some, yeah, that's how I would say it. Huh? I'm not an expert in these things, but basically there is an open source package called XZ that there was a new release. So basically there was a new version of this package that was on pre-release and everything was going fine. And then someone, not the someone, I want to name this person because Andres Freund, I don't know. I heard that I saw somewhere that this word means friend in German.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and Alex is nodding yes to confirm that, which is very fitting because he's been a friend of all of us.
Exactly.
Yeah, so
basically,
yeah, to the world, really. I mean, so basically, I heard that he's a Microsoft guy, and he was doing some benchmarking on this new pre-release version, and then he noticed that there was something weird with the CPU usage, basically. And then he looked into it, and then he realized that tarballs, so basically the zip files, that we're putting very crudely, they were infected. They were backdoored. Backdoor meaning that people could actually run stuff on the computer that is running the software, right? And it made this is making a lot of noise still. We still don't know who did it or who done it, because this is open source. So maybe to set the stage here, there was this project here, XV or liblzma. They had basically one open source developer that was putting a lot of time on his spare time on this, and another user called Gia10, he or she, we don't know, started contributing to these things. The guy, he was going to burnout basically. Because he was doing a lot of stuff and people were basically pushing. I think in open source too, we have this almost culture these days that you expect stuff.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, because the way you create issues, it's already called issues, right? It's very...
Yeah, but then it's like anyone can create issues, right? But the also thing is like there's an expectation that they should be fixed soon, right? Actually, I wanted to find it as well because they even show there, because this is all on GitHub, you can actually see the track, right? And they're saying like, hey, I opened this issue a week ago, but no one said anything. Are you going to support this or not? And the guy says, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm going through like a difficult time. This is on my spare time. I'm almost going through burnout and this and this. And then the guy says, oh, I'm sorry that you're going through burnout, but really you should prioritize this, the community, this and this. So really like, maybe this is the blog post. Let's see. So this is a bit fresh. I'm not an expert in these things, but we will learn as we go here. So they're asking about XZ for Java. Is it still maintained? I asked a question here a week ago and haven't heard back. And then there's like, yeah, there's a bug, blah, blah, blah. So basically they're just kind of having a discussion, right? Like, is this still fixed? Is this not fixed? See, progress won't happen until there's a new maintainer. Current maintainers lost interest and don't care maintain anymore, so they're reporting this. And basically from this discussion, and the guy, of course, is feeling guilt, and there's also some YouTube videos that some other open source maintainers address this. They relate a lot to this feeling, right? That you have a duty to the community and you're feeling burned out, and then this G10 here kind of appears. They had been contributing to the project as well, so it also feels like it was premeditated. It was like they were playing the long game. They found an open source project that had only one maintainer, and they were actually contributing to it. And then actually the from what I understand, G10 becomes a maintainer. So here, G10 may have a bigger role in the project in the future. He has been helping me a lot of the list and co-maintainer, and is practically a co-maintainer already. So that person actually becomes a co-maintainer. The person intentionally puts a backdoor. So there's like the log. There's also some other issues like the log4j bug, but those things were also unintentional, right? It was a mistake. So this one is actually intentional. Someone actually went there in the code, put the backdoor. They also obfuscated it. The code is not on GitHub actually, so you can only find it if you get the tarballs from the GitHub releases as well. So there was a lot of effort that was put to make sure that they weren't found, basically, right? And then they released it, and just by kind of luck, dumb luck almost, the person that was benchmarking this saw that there was an issue there, and they really looked into it, and then they caught it, right?
And do we have any victims of this?
I think maybe not, because I think this was a pre-release.
Okay.
So that's why it wasn't infected everywhere. But if this wasn't just a pre-release, this was actually released to everyone, there could be in a lot of people's computers. Yeah. But more than that, it could be on a lot of servers. So actually, like, there was still, this was like for Linux GNU x86 architecture. So there was still a bit of a, it was not like every computer in the world, but still, right? Like there's a lot of servers run on Linux, a lot of stuff. So and the analogy that I saw in the Fireship video, I thought was pretty interesting. So the analogy is, imagine that you're a landlord. So you have a building, the building is kind of falling apart. You do this on your spare time, so you don't have time to make sure everything's polished. And then this one person kind of comes and says, oh, I'll help you out. And they really start helping you out. Everything started looking great. They had a lot of features. They do this, this, and this, and everything's great. And you say, okay, maybe we can co-own this building with me. And then one of the tenants, the tenants of the building, they start noticing that their energy bills is higher than it should be. So they start breaking the walls, and they look at the wires, and they start seeing that there were actually cameras planted in the apartment. Kind of like that, you know? So it's kind of like someone that was using it realized there was something weird, looked into it, and they realized there was a backdoor, and they kind of flagged it. And there was a lot of questions like, okay, this person was on burnout. If the guy hadn't been more, if people weren't rude, quote unquote, maybe he wouldn't have stood his ground more. He wouldn't feel the need to really get help from whoever in the community. There are a lot of different dimensions to this, like the social engineering, the technical, the actual engineering part, you know, that makes this a very interesting story to follow.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Right. And also the maintainer of the XZ project is also banned from his account has been suspended on GitHub.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah. And even the things like, so there were two tarballs. One was signed by him. The other one was signed by G10. And even the ones that he signed, they are not, there was no backdoor. So the guy has like, they shut down his GitHub and all these things, but has been trying to answer the questions, right? Yeah. So, yeah. And again, begs the question. I think another fitting,
I was gonna
this
exactly,
XKCD here. So for the people that are just listening, this is the famous XKCD dependency, I guess. Diagram, image, link, picture. Basically has a whole bunch of blocks stacked on each other. And then the blocks basically says all modern digital infrastructure. And then right below all those blocks, there's a very tiny thing here that, and then it points out and says, a project some random person in Nebraska has been thanklessly maintaining since 2003, which is kind of how this feels.
But this is not kind of, it's actually this.
Yeah, no? But the thing is, like, in this case, for the XC thing, what's more is like the attacker identified this project, identified that the person was going through burnout.
Yeah.
They actually contributed to the project until they were a co-maintainer. and then they
But do you think that the person did this purposefully?
yeah,
Oh.
yeah, like the way, like if you go through the actual code and what it does.
Yeah. This I believe, but like they didn't just stumble upon the package and then they were interested in, and then saw some opportunity to, I don't know, do something malicious.
Yeah, it's hard
And
to tell.
acted, or did they really go to look on on GitHub and say, well, I'm gonna, my plan, my 10-year plan is actually finding 10 GitHub repo where you have like some one-man army
Yeah,
maintaining the package, and then
it's hard to tell, right? Like we don't know. I think there's even the discussion on, is this was this one person? Because there was a Fireship mentions, I don't know if it's jokingly or not, but like, what if this is a government organization, right? Like you don't know. Like we don't know. Like it's all we know is Gia10 and it's a GitHub profile.
and did they contribute to anything else?
We can take a look, huh? Maybe let's see. Dun-dun. So you see here, there's some commits, some pinned. Show more activity. Actually, they show a lot of. See? Oh, is this? Yeah, they have some stuff, huh? But see, XZ.
Yeah.
But you see here, the account, you should say that there's been XZ Java. OSS fuzz. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But it's harder. It's
Okay,
like it's hard to know. It's hard to know exactly what's happening. No one knows who the person is. So.
And now they banned. They were banned from GitHub.
Yeah. I think their account is suspended. I don't know. I cannot see this. Let's see. I think I saw somewhere in the. Yeah, I don't know. I'll have to look at later. But in any case, and also begs the question, right? Like maybe we should. Like this is not sustainable.
No.
Right? People pushing people on Twitter, on GitHub issues, on whatever. It's not sustainable, right? Okay. And I think there is a big vulnerability there, right? There is someone that is motivated, that has the skill sets to do this. You know?
Yeah. Imagine something like this happened to a linting tool from Python.
Yeah. But imagine if this already happened and we don't know about it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Might be. Because do you go on looking at exactly what Black does or Flake8 does?
And I think still, like for this one, like this is a like compile thing. So it's like
even then.
Yeah, right. So yeah.
They're more difficult to catch.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I think also for now bringing a bit to the data and AI world, right? There's also models you download from Hugging Face. Actually, we have a colleague, Louise, that she showed how a lot of these models, they're basically Python pickle files. And pickle files basically they're a set of instructions, right? So they actually run code when you load a pickle file. And in one of those instructions, she was showing how you can alter the pickle file to include a backdoor, for example. So she even showed like if Italia opens a model from Hugging Face, and after that she showed how she could go in Vitalia's terminal, like computer, and go through the files and all these things. The issue with that one is that like the computer turns off, then she loses the connection, you know. But like there are a lot of things that could be done, right? And yeah, it's a bit scary.
Exactly. Yeah,
it's a bit scary. But yeah, let's see if I don't know. Again, things are still developing on this story. Let's see how.
Yeah, I mean it's very it's a bit scary, yeah. And
but really, like I would advise, if you like drama and you're in tech, just go. Like there's a rabbit hole of these things. Like who's Gia10? Who's this? This person this person that.
But like really, nobody can just track this person. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Because if the person really hit their trace, man, it was really.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I don't know. I mean, like maybe if GitHub has logging data, right? Like a region or something, would they also be able to share that? Probably not.
Yeah, I guess not.
Right.
I mean, maybe they're in the USA, so
Yeah, but what if the person is not in the USA?
does the NSA care?
That's above my pay grade.
Yeah.
That's above my pay grade.
Alright.
Alrighty. Maybe one quick piece of news. Talking about open source. Some things are not open source, but they're getting more open source, let's say. This is the case for Mojo. I think we talked, I think Paolo, correct me if I'm wrong, we did talk about Mojo. We did talk that it was not open source.
Yeah, exactly.
It was always the ambition from Mojo to be open source. And a while ago, so we didn't have time to cover this on previous episodes, but a while ago, they actually open sourced the standard library.
Nice.
Announced the release of core modules from the Mojo standard library under Apache 2 license. So this is an open source license. So they are trying to get more people engaged, trying to get more people to contribute, trying to get more people to open up the box and see what's inside. I haven't tried it in a while, but my opinion maybe a year ago was that they still had some long ways to go on this.
Yeah, because it was similar to Python.
Yeah, so
exactly.
the promise is a fast Python.
Hmm.
It's not really a fast Python yet. Well, actually, I don't know if it'll ever be, because the fast part, if you really want to be super fast, the code doesn't really look much like Python anymore.
Yeah, okay.
Like it has some like it looks like it was a language inspired by Python.
Okay.
This is my opinion as well.
Yeah, yeah, and maybe to derive a bit from Mojo is I feel like, I don't know if it was you that discussed this, but I feel like every bottleneck that now your Python program has, if you can rewrite this in Rust or C++, let's say,
yeah,
then you're good to go. You don't need to have like a fast Python.
Yeah, indeed. I think a lot of the times is we talk a lot about speed, but to be honest, like most of the Python things are actually fast enough. Like there's a lot of I think the speed, even with the linting tools, you talked about Ruff and UV.
Yeah.
And the big tagline is, oh, this is a fast Ruff, a fast black, a fast X, a fast Y. But sometimes I wonder if we're solving problems that we never had.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Like
for Ruff, I do believe there is a use case.
You think? Because before I heard of Ruff, I never had issues with like, oh, this linting is taking so long.
I did.
You did?
Yeah.
Yeah, I never had that. But I still switched, huh? Like, that's the thing.
I mean,
same thing with UV. Do you have problems with installing Python packages?
No. I mean, yeah, when I use Conda.
But what do you mean? Like when you're installing stuff with Conda?
Yeah, it was too slow.
Okay. Yeah, maybe I didn't. I think maybe I do when I have like some dependency resolution. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's such a like maybe my position is I will use it if it's there, but I wouldn't spend time to build something faster either.
No, exactly. Yeah, but I'm happy it's there, and I'm happy like it's getting traction and people are using it because. Anyway, it's maybe a very broad statement, but if you can be more efficient and use less resources, it's also better. Huh?
Yeah, but
even if it's like, it's just a mindset. If you try to optimize everything, then it means like, okay, your CI/CD is running super fast. That means that you will look at your code and try to optimize it as well.
Yeah, but so I have a few issues, quote unquote, with this. Yeah. One is you can always optimize it further. So when do you stop? It's almost like writing a book. You can always review and make it better and do this and that. But like, so where do you stop? And the other thing is, it's like the 80-20 rule, right? Like after a certain point, the time that you invest, like I think it's like diminishing returns or something, right? And in the end, your time should be more valuable than CI/CD time.
Yeah, but I think that's why open source is very interesting. Eh? It's like one person.
Yeah,
just doing God's work.
Yeah, that's true. Like one person does it and everyone benefits from it.
Exactly. Yeah, because imagine the amount of, I count this in milliseconds, that people win because they use Ruff instead of black. it amounts to maybe a month now, and in 10 years it might be 100 years.
Yeah. I think also from the Pydantic, because now Pydantic is in Rust. I also heard the argument of actual environmental sustainability. Because you use less energy, you take less time, so you can do the same computation in a more environmentally friendly way. So it is a good argument. But I also, I think I don't disagree, but I do feel like a lot of the times teams, they're focusing on this, and in my head is like there are probably better things to invest our time in.
Yeah, I wouldn't do it myself.
You're the guy that creates issues like this is too slow.
Yeah, exactly. But okay, your mental health is in danger. But did you look at my?
But the micro is taking too long. You know.
Did you see what I posted?
I know you have Holiday's book, but I put this 2 days ago and you still didn't finish it.
That's what I wrote to Bart before.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, I wouldn't do it myself, and I do see your point, but I think, it's good that it's out there.
Yeah. No, again, I mean, I'm saying this, but I jumped on the Ruff train.
Yeah, exactly.
I jumped on the UV train. You know, it's like, don't get me wrong. All right, maybe ready for some sizzling takes. Super hot. So this one, there's a bit of a backstory to it. This is from a friend of mine, actually, Rachel Daya. Shout out to Rachel if you're listening. Probably not, but shout out to him. The title of his blog post is "Becoming Clout Certified." He's a Rachel. Fun fact: he's also an artist, much like Alex. He also likes to paint and draw. But you can see that here he's not only he's not an artist with image only. He's also an artist with words. You know, he does. So that's he has a clever pun here. Clout. You explained to me. What does it mean to clout?
She explained it.
Alex, explain.
Isn't it like chasing after, like wanting to become popular?
Yes, I believe so. I mean, actually, I think it is, but it makes a lot of sense. So even if it's not, we're gonna ride with it. So basically, he's basically making the point here that being cloud certified is more about reputation. It's more about showing something shiny to someone else rather than the actual value of a certification. So he goes on through. So he actually starts the article by saying that he actually got a lot of certifications for GCP, a social cloud engineer, AWS solutions architect, AWS data engineer associate, right? And then after getting all these 3 in a month, so in 1 month he got 3 cloud certifications, he had a few thoughts here, and he named, so he says even here, given that the best things comes in threes, I have decided to divide my thoughts into 3 certified solutions. Let's call them the illusion of knowledge, illusion of value, and illusion of prestige. So kind of skimming through a bit here, things. He says that illusion of knowledge is you can be certified but not know much about the certification that you got. One quote from someone else that he put here that says that after a while, I think it was an advice from a friend, a colleague or something. After a while, you need to decide to stop studying, to understand and start studying to pass the exam.
Yeah, that's kind of relate, huh? Kind of relate to that.
You agree to that? You agree with that?
Yeah, indeed. But on the contrary, I also see some people that are really trying to understand exactly what's happening.
Yeah.
And then they pass with flying colors. But then it takes much longer.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. I feel like if you know, you're very likely to pass.
Yep.
But if you pass, that does not mean that you know.
No, exactly.
I think my first certification, I remember I left there and I was like, I have no clue about any of these things.
Same.
But I passed the certification.
Same.
So, yeah, and I think the says you're gonna be fooled. The groups of people that are gonna be fooled by this illusion are the people that are browsing through the certification and saying, "Oh, if I get this, I'm gonna be proving that I have knowledge of this." Right? I think if I tell you I have a AWS machine learning specialty, I think you're gonna think it's cool, but you're not gonna be like, "Oh yeah, Marilla knows everything about that."
Yeah, no.
You know?
Exactly. Yeah.
And he also said like the people that go through the process understand this. Right? So it's more for the people that never done it.
Yeah, it's true.
Right.
Actually.
He also said that the people that are responsible for hiring and staffing, they can fall into this trap. but I think it's more like a college degree kind of thing. You have a paper
Yeah.
to show, you have a certification, and I think for people that are not in this, I mean, also, how do you assess these things?
I guess you must have in your interview process somewhere where you really speak with the person and say, hey, okay, you have like a AWS certification. What did you do with AWS, for example?
Yeah, true.
And then based on what the person said, then okay, you can assess, yeah, this guy or this person knows his shit.
But I think it's like, do you need to ask the question, do you have a certification? Because to me, it's like, if you just tell me what you did, I wouldn't even ask about the certification necessarily.
Yeah, but when they arrive at your point, they were being screened first by
Yeah,
HR and some automatic processing tool, and maybe there is some filter or even like some bias in HR because they see, okay, this person has a AWS certification. I can send them to Murillo.
But I think it's the same thing in a way as a college degree.
Yeah, exactly. I had some exam. I had no idea what I studied for. Huh?
Oh wow! Wow!
Shout out to Kylo.
No, because I did a talk at university, and then students are like, "Yeah, do you think you still need a college degree to go into be a machine learning engineer?"
Yeah.
And I said, like, honestly, you don't really, but you still need to get through the door.
Yeah.
Right. Like, so if you don't get through the screening process, you're not going to get through the interview to actually show your skills. Right. And today, the reality, and I don't like this reality, but it is the reality, that there are so many applicants sometimes that you need to find reasons to filter people out. Right. There's only so many hours in the day that you can look at CVs. And if you just look at everyone's, you're going to miss a lot of good people. Right.
Yeah.
So,
and ML is really a hot topic. I would even argue that you might need a PhD even to get into the most prestigious companies.
Yeah, I think back like when I was a student, I remember looking. Indeed, a lot of them said you need a PhD or research experience, or I don't know. Usually say like 10 years experience working, right? So, but yeah, so indeed, so that's the illusion of prestige.
Yeah, but I do see his point. That's
Yeah, he's a smart guy. Shout out to Rochelle again.
He has his way with the word.
Huh?
He has his way with the word.
He does. He's a artist. What can I say?
Yeah, you said it.
Illusion of value. So he said, why would you take a certification? Oh, because it's valuable. So that's an illusion according to him, right? So one of the things he mentioned, and maybe this would be something relatable, you're in between projects, and then he said, like, oh, what should I do? What should I do with this? With this time? Let's look at a certification. And it's like, why? Oh, because it's valuable. And that's the illusion that he's referring to here. Like, it's not valuable in the sense of you're going to be able to do so many more things if you get the certification. And he does mention here that it's not like there's no value, but I think he thinks that people that place value in the certifications, they probably place more than there actually is.
Yeah.
The same thing with the college degrees that we're mentioning, right?
Yeah, exactly,
College degrees useless. No, they open a lot of doors.
Yeah.
No, there is a lot of stuff there, right? Like, I think if you say take all the people in the world that have a college degree in computer science, they're gonna know more about computer science than taking all the people in the world. There will be a pattern there, right? Exactly. But that doesn't mean that you're gonna have someone that is exceptional.
No,
doesn't have it.
But I do think there is value in having such certificate. Even if you study by heart and never touch the cloud service, let's say cloud service, you will know the services, so you will know, okay, this can be used to store Docker image, this can be used to launch those images, this can be used to launch a Python function at scale, for example.
Yeah.
So, and even though that, okay, they might not have touched it, they will know it.
I mean, I think to me the difference is knowledge versus skill, I guess.
Yeah.
If I tell you what's my phone number, that's knowledge, but you can you can do some things with it. But it's not like now you can build a new,
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. I think that they are connected in a lot of ways, right? But I do see that these certifications, they do test a lot on what do you know.
Yeah.
Right. which I guess links a bit to the last one, which is the prestige. He said that like he even mentions like the North Korean generals with a lot of medals, and that's how he feels when he got the 3. He put like the 3 of them on his LinkedIn, and he felt like one of those people, right?
Yeah, when you have too much certification, it's strange, huh?
I have.
It's actually it does the opposite of like having prestige. It feels like maybe they're overcompensating. I don't know. Hot take. This is a
They're
hot take,
insecure.
yeah?
This is a hot take. But he also mentions that, like the imposter syndrome, right? And
Yeah.
having the certifications kind of like give you a sense of, oh, well, look, you know. And I think a lot of people in the profession in the world they relate to imposter syndrome. And I think it's like after going through this, you can either feel better about yourself because now you have something to show for. But on the other hand, I think you can have just more imposter syndrome because now you have the certification, you still feel like you don't know the stuff, you know?
Exactly. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it's a bit, yeah,
It's a difficult one.
yeah, it is a difficult
It's a
one.
difficult one.
So he talks about, well, certification, even though he mentions 3 illusions, they're not useless. And then he talks about how the system could be fixed, right? So he mentions one way is that the way that the certifications are placed today, they are the multiple choice, right? So you basically have text, and then you say, is it A, B, C, or D? And then that's kind of how a lot of the exams go. But that's very flawed in a way. Right. I think a lot of the times you can go online and see a lot of sample questions.
Yeah, exactly.
Sometimes if you just kind of know how these exams kind of go, it's very easy to kind of cheat the system without really knowing the answer. So he mentions also Gen AI and some other maybe more open-ended questions for graders to kind of select things. Yeah. And he just kind of says, well, how relevant these things all are, right? Like we can kind of play here and just kind of brainstorm, but how likely is it that these things are going to change?
Yeah, I don't think people. I think. Yeah, I don't know what to think. I think it's still valuable in some sense. And I think it will just take one new cloud company coming with a new type of certification, like with Databricks coming in like a few years ago, like just providing documentation during their exams.
Yeah,
now Azure is doing it as well.
Yeah, indeed.
So I mean, it's just gonna take one company saying people like, it works, so let's just do that, and then we have like a whole new certification, new type of exams, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
I also see how realistic that is as well for people to grade it as well. I'm also wondering if you can do some type of exercise, deploy this on this, deploy that on this.
But the resources to have this at scale. Imagine Azure having to do this for every applicant, man.
Unless they jack the price up.
Yeah, but that will make the certification more
prestigious.
Yeah. So
would it be? Yeah, not sure. So I personally don't like certifications. I also don't like to. I don't like to study. I think I'm a bad student, especially today. When I was an actual student, I feel like I kind of sucked it up. I had to. I feel many moons ago. But I feel like nowadays, when I have to sit down and study, I have a really hard time.
Yeah, no, I don't like it.
I much rather like just do a project and just kind of show something at the end of the day than really study for certification. I have a really, really hard time. But I still, again, like if someone tells me, okay, you need to work for this project and you need to demonstrate your expertise on this, could you get a certification? I still think that that's a valid argument, right? So to sum up, he just says, we need to be a bit introspective and ask ourselves the following questions. Am I committed to truly engaging on the subject matter, or am I just here for the prize? What value do I wish to gain from this certification? And is it more than I would gain from doing something else? And am I doing this to make my LinkedIn profile look sexier?
Yeah, I think in the end, it all depends on the person taking it.
And I think that's kind of his conclusion, It's like he's talking about illusions, but I think the important thing is so you don't delusion yourself, right? Like you don't trick yourself, right? Like why are you doing this? Like if you like doing these things, if you like to learn more about these things, then go for it. It's a very valid reason to do so. And also to cover all his bases, he's saying that he only took a few certifications. He also had some experience with AWS as well. So that those things also does matter. Like, for example, what you mentioned in the beginning. If you have 5 years working with AWS, you probably can just study for an afternoon and take the exam, and you're probably going to be fine. If you've never done this, you probably need to spend more time, and you can still pass, right? But the people that have experience, I think it's very unlikely that they will fail the certifications.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably the population that these the people that prepare the exams, I don't know how to say it.
Preparators.
Yeah. I think that's probably the population that they want to cater to the most. They want to make sure that whoever should get a certification because they know the stuff
Get certified.
will get the certification. Right, so, and I think that's kind of it for today. Maybe do you agree? Any last thoughts on certifications? How many certifications do you have?
Can't count them. I mean, I have,
Too many.
I have one Azure, I have one Databricks, I have one Google.
Okay. One Azure, one Databricks, and one Google.
Yeah.
Okay. No, you have a prefect. I mean, they have
I have a
prefect
prefect one. Yeah.
right?
I saw that one. I have 5. I'm the certified man.
There we go, man. Good job. Good job. Proud of you.
Thanks.
All right. Yeah, I have a few of them myself as well.
How many?
Some of them expired. I have to go on my
Yeah,
LinkedIn to check.
You didn't take the exam to
No,
stand them?
but I think,
Oh.
I don't have any Azure certifications. I think that's the only one that you can renew by just doing like this almost an online quiz thingy.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, all the other ones you basically have to take the exam again. I think for Google, they just say we'll give you a 50% discount. For AWS, I think you can do one for free, but you basically have to retake it.
Okay, one.
Yeah, it's not a yeah.
Thanks, but no thanks.
Where can I see this? License. Okay, I have. Not so humble brag. Get ready. Prefect, Snowflake, Core, Astronomer for Apache Airflow, Astronomer for Fundamentals, AWS Machine Learning Specialty, Google Cloud for Professional Data Engineer, HashiCorp for Terraform, and Professional Machine Learning Engineer for Google.
That's it.
Job, Mike.
Oh,
Thanks.
nice.
Thanks, Alex. I needed that. But again, I did all this, but I think I'm a living proof that how much
That
do
it
I know?
works.
Yeah. Podcast host now. Life is good.
Yeah,
Just
Yeah,
follow me for more tips.
Morilo on LinkedIn.
Yeah. But cool.
Yep.
Thanks a lot for joining. This has been
Thank you.
fun.
Yep.
Enjoy your weekend. Any plans for the weekend?
Yes. I have 2 friends having their 13 years.
13.
30.
30. Okay.
13 years.
Like, okay. All right, bye. Thanks, everyone.
And then prepare the show and everything at their apartment. So will be nice.
Okay, cool. What about you, Alex? Any
No.
Okay.
All right.
So sorry.
Thanks, Alex.
All right, cool. No. Okay.
Maybe preparing some bloopers video.
Yeah.
On the weekend?
No.
But not on the weekend.
That's fine. Huh?
No. Okay. Cool. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
See you next time.
See you.
You have taste in a way that's meaningful to software people.
Hello, I'm Bill Gates.
I would recommend TypeScript. Yeah, it writes a lot of code for me, and usually it's slightly wrong.
I'm reminded, incidentally, of Rust here.
Rust.
Congressman, iPhone is made by a different company, and so
You will not learn Rust while skydiving.
Well, I'm sorry, guys. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah,
Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you today about large neural networks. It's really an honor to be here.
Rust.
Data topics.
Welcome to the data.
Welcome to the Data Topics